Well, yes, it was very surprising, although since the very beginning of this conflict and since the stage, the pre-military stage of this conflict, Naftali Bennett has shown his willingness, some may say his eagerness to intervene as a go-between, as a mediator. There was skepticism about his ability to do so. It's a small country, not directly involved, but there are many...
But uniquely positioned, many people say,
yes,
as one of the only countries in the Western sort of sphere of influence that has good ties with both countries.
History has shown us that in mediation, size doesn't necessarily matter. Right. I remind you that Norway was in no way a superpower when it mediated the Oslo Accords between Israel and the Palestinians. So... but I think that this is really a big step forward, him actually going urgently. It's on Shabbat. He goes to Moscow and he spends many hours with Vladimir Putin, and then he goes to Berlin and speaks to other people. I think that's a big upgrade. So there are things we don't know, obviously, in the background that probably have motivated him to take this decision and make this big step forward, because, as you said, there are risks. There are risks about the positioning of Israel vis-à-vis other allies, and most of all vis-à-vis the United States. The term the U.S. administration was informed is not exactly a show of enthusiasm from Washington. Right. And I suspect that if there had been real encouragement, Bennett's spokesperson would have mentioned it. Yes, would have mentioned it. So, there are risks, but I think it's a gamble, not only from an Israeli point of view, globally. I think that if you believe that you have an opening, even a very small one, then if you're a responsible leader in this world, you must take the risk.
Right, to try to somehow bring an end to this conflict. Yes. And we saw another leader in Europe who was the main mediator, tried to be mediator here, which is Emmanuel Macron of France, and he's also been kept in the loop via phone discussions. Right. But Macron is the head of state of a NATO nation, which makes it more difficult for him to fill that role.
Plus, he's in the middle of an election campaign. Elections there are in a month, so he's quite busy. But I think it's Olaf Scholz who is maybe the interesting part of this trip, because I remind you, we discussed it here. He was in Israel just a few days ago, spent a lot of FaceTime with Naftali Bennett, and most certainly they discussed Ukraine and they discussed the conflict. And here comes Naftali Bennett, and from Moscow he goes directly to Berlin and spends again an hour and a half or 2 hours with the chancellor. So there must be some kind of German, maybe not involvement, but an interest there. And we know there are many. There is the Nord Stream 2
Germany
pipeline.
have come under criticism over the years for being too soft on Russia, promoting this Nord Stream pipeline that makes them dependent on Russia. So it's a tough position for them to be in.
Even without knowing what happened in the back rooms, Olaf Scholz was involved in the pre-talks to this visit, and then he was debriefed afterwards. So there must be something there that connects these two moments.
Well, maybe more information will come out later.
I'm sure it will.
Just a final question here about another important issue, which is the Iranian nuclear deal talks. Some people have said that there is some sort of connection there. What do you make of maybe Bennett trying to achieve on this trip on that front, or generally?
Oh, I think he would like to delay or to slow down the process. I don't think he has the ability to do so. I think even in Israel, most experts have realized, have taken it as granted that there will be a return to the agreement one way or another. The sanctions issue is a real conundrum, because both Russia and Iran have things to gain by lifting these sanctions. They are preparing a very lively channel of trade between them. And the Iranians are reluctant to make this connection, because they are afraid that with this connection it will delay the lifting of sanctions against them. So we'll have to see how this works out.
And certainly also the possibility of Iranian oil flowing into the market with sanctions on Russia is playing part of playing a factor here.
Connected.
A lot is interconnected here. We're still waiting to see the big picture. Daniel Shek, thank you very much for that.